It is really an honor and a wonderful privilege to be here today, where we are celebrating our third year for our Youth Builders International Symposium. We want you to know that today is your day. So I want you to help me to get this point across. Say, the day is my day. It's all about me. Give yourselves a hand. We want you to know we are here to encourage you, to challenge you, to motivate you to believe in yourself. Many of you may have been told in the past that you'll never amount to anything, but because you are special in the eyes of God, we believe, all of us here, that all of you are going to make it. All right, give yourself a hand. Give yourself a hand. Someone asked me some time ago, tell me a little bit about Youth Builders. What is Youth Builders? Let me just take a minute before we bring on our first presenter. Well, our theme for this year is our annual theme is Equipping for Success. Say, Equipping for Success.
Equipping for success.
The aim that we have through seminars, workshops, coaching, educational and feeding programs, Youth Builders International aims to help youth like yourselves be aware of their power to make a positive life-changing difference in yourselves and your communities through goal setting, self-discipline, education, and caring for others. Our vision statement is to impact youths locally, regionally, and globally to expand their self-image, vision, and their lives to the extent that you believe you can achieve whatever goal you set out to achieve. Now, I want you, by the end of this day, I want you to believe that all those wonderful things the teachers have been telling you, I'm talking about those who are inspiring you and the counselors, I want you to believe that, because in order to achieve your goals, students, you have to learn to love yourself. First, you have to learn to believe in yourself. We are losing a lot of you to violence, murder. I mean, the list is long, but you are here today. That means God still has a purpose for your life. And so we hope to inspire you a little bit more today to believe that you can achieve your goals. Our mission statement is to help young people believe in themselves and realize that their potential for greatness and empower you to make valuable, meaningful, and lasting impact in your communities and as you live from day to day. And so I just thought I'd mention that to you, because I believe, brothers and sisters, students, teachers, that our country is in good hands. Say it with me, young people. Our country is in good hands. And I know you don't eat yet, right? We have some nice food for you, but I want you to say like you believe it. Our country is in great hands. All right, you're getting there, you're waking up. Let's say it one more time. Our country is in great hands. Give yourself a hand, please.
Hi, I'm Miss Wright, and I'm representing the Government High School at the annual Youth Symposium. Very excited about what they have in store for us today.
Come on,
Stop on your feet if you believe how we need to. Let me come hands up like this. I want these fingers waving. Talk up, come on. Send it. We need peace. We need love. Oh, yes. We need peace. We need love. Oh, yes. Send it. How can we say we love God when we don't love ourselves? No, no, no.
nation. When we keep on fighting amongst ourselves, we need to change our thinking, and come to our senses, in order to change this whole world. What we got to do? We got to start with ourselves. If you believe that, let me see my hands up. We need peace. We need love. Oh yes, we need peace. We need love.
I stand on the protocol that has been established. I also like to recognize the director, Mr. Tim Munnings. First of all, Pastor Carl Johnson, thank you. And Director Tim Munnings, also our sports ambassador, one of our golden girls, Ms. Pauline Davis Thompson. This time, you all know who this is? How many people know who that is? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you know. Some girls here know? If I said Usain Bolt, how many people know who that is? Usain Bolt, right? Someone say, you think I watch sports? Listen, I was going to call some more names and go down the list, right? But I am going to stop there just to tell you that the same accomplishment or similar accomplishments, however you want to look at it, that Bolt have made, and he is Jamaican. We have Bahamians who have done that same thing. Won gold medals in the Olympics. This is one of them. And that's why, listen, you can't appreciate yourself until you appreciate your own culture and history. And it's good to know all of the international stars, right? It's good to know who LeBron James is and Steph Curry. But it's also good to know, as even better to know, who Buddy Hield is. Who Buddy Hield is? Now say I could deviate from my speech, you know? I ain't going to this. I come to talk to you all today because who knows who Buddy Hield is? Okay, thank you very much. That's most of the room. Yeah. So the thing is, who knows who DeAndre Ayton is? All right, there's hands. All right, so this small country has those two names I've called, Buddy Hield and DeAndre Ayton. They are Bahamian NBA basketball superstars, right? And the reason I say superstars, they made the top 50 best basketball players in the world. Right here, out of this little country, right? And listen, this is important. When I say it's important, you gotta stay focused on who you are. This is important because anytime you have people who have elevated to these levels, know that they were sitting just like you in a seat in a school somewhere a few years ago. How many of you believe that? Everybody's hand should be raised. They didn't just appear out of nowhere. They did not just appear out of nowhere. Someone didn't just come and pick them up one day and say, you know what, I could pay you $10 million to come play some ball. That ain't how it happened. They had people who reached out to them the way people are reaching out to you now, who spoke to them, who inspired them, who they looked up to. And that is very important that you understand the value of that and the value of this moment. The reason why you're here today is because you are special, you are valued, and all of you are exposed to the same set of people who are going to come here to talk to you today. Some of you are exposed to the same set of teachers. Some of you will be exposed to the same set of administrators and counselors. And at the end of the day, right, is the ones who take the most out of what was given to them to make themselves great. Because all of you have potential. Who believe they have potential? All right, that's the entire room. I don't see any hands down.
Hi, I'm Carol Minnis, guidance counselor, posted at Aaron Bailey Senior High School, home of the Pacers. And we're here with our students to be a part of the Youth Symposium. And hopefully it'll be a beneficial exercise for our students and all those in attendance.
The dream within your heart, and if you make a start, He wants for you to know all of your needs He will supply. He's always standing by. He's there to see you through. So keep on climbing.
I was perhaps like many of you. I was an aspiring athlete. I thought I was an athlete. I always thought I could run. But I was short, I was skinny, and so most of the persons in my class were a little bit more developed. So as fast as I ran, I wasn't being noticed because they were all bigger and faster. But I would try to run, and I wanted to race anybody. I'd race in my socks. I'd go home every week with holy socks, get in trouble. I want to race you anywhere. I want to race you on the field. I want to race you in the road between lampposts. And then you had the inter-school sports, and I wanted to make the team. And I was like, can I go on the team? But I was not selected. I wasn't anywhere close. I said, well, let me just go and sit on the bench. I could help them get some towels and stuff. But any excuse to get out of school, but I really wasn't that. I wasn't even good enough to be on the bench. Oh man. But education, I like sports, but my parents at the time really was drilling education. Complete your school. You go do running around later. Finish your schoolwork. And so that's where I was driven to schoolwork. And at that time, you couldn't get or getting scholarships and sponsorships wasn't a thing. That was, as far as sports was PE. You couldn't get off to school, or not many persons were getting off to school on scholarships. And so education was very important to that generation. Now it's changed. Now that's almost a free ticket to completing your education. And so we'll talk about that a little later. But I went off to school. I finished high school. I went to Queens College. That was definitely not known for any sprinters then. But I went off and I did my bachelor's degree in business. And I came back home and I still wanted to race. I still liked to run. And so when I started working, they came up with this community sports meet where banks would compete against other banks. Doctors Hospital was competing against PMH. And those groups of businesses were competing against each other. So that's where I said, all right, this is an opportunity I can race with somebody. And so I entered the competition. And I didn't win, but I came second. Banks against banks. I was working in the banks at the time, Barclays Bank, which is now First Caribbean. And so now I knew I was ready. And so I started to look for track meets to enter. I started entering track meets, and again, nope. Coming hot last. I couldn't figure out, go on to Montague Beach, train. Run on the road, train. Come back to a race, nothing happened. Until a coach came and said, you know, I keep seeing you come out here. Why don't you come and let me train you? And that was the beginning. I started to get training from someone that really knew what they were doing. And once I started to get into a training program, and I started to practice, and Minister talked about that. Practicing something becomes a habit. And I'm fast forwarding as I talk. All of a sudden, my progress started to improve very quickly. And so probably within less than 2 years, I started to win races. Then I got selected to a national team that went to Trinidad and Tobago. This was quite a few years ago. Said, okay, we're going to let you run the 4x4. And so this time, I was the rookie on the team. I said, all right, you, Munnings, you're going to run the first leg. I was like, what? So, you go out and as the relay legs line up on the track, the announcers start to call off your credentials. In lane number 1, from Barbados, 2-time national record holder, da 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 da. Lane number 2, from Trinidad, current world leader in this. I was like, well, mud though. Lane number 3, Munnings, Bahamas. Went to the next lane and they started calling off all these credentials. I was like, oh my goodness. Put my legs in the blocks and I could feel my heel trembling, But because I had done some preparation, when that gun went off, guess who won that leg of the race? I did. And I passed off to the my other relay team members, and we actually came second in that race. When we looked at the time splits of my team, I had run the fastest leg of everybody. So that was quite an eye-opener. So we came home. Some of them were saying, no, that couldn't be right. You got to check that time again. But my coach was very encouraging. He said, listen, I think we're on to something. Because first I was trying out for the 100 meters. I also learned some things. I thought the lighter you were, the faster you were. So I couldn't understand why some thicker guys were running faster than me because I was skinny and I'm supposed to be faster than them. But I learned it's all about muscle and strength. But so I focused on the 400 meters, trained hard. I hadn't met Pauline yet, but I continued to train every day, practicing, rehearsing. And then I was invited to go to the World Championships. And this was back in 1995. Went to the World Championships, which was in Sweden. I don't remember how we did, but we didn't win. Again, you can't judge a book by its cover. What I do remember is me and my teammates, we thought we were fast, and we looked and we saw some Asian runners, some Chinese and stuff, and say, well, we know we got them. Saw some white guys, oh, we got them. Man, I tell you, those Chinese runners, they can run. Those white guys, they can run. And so you cannot judge a book by its cover. You have to prepare yourself for the unexpected. That was 1995. Moved on to 1996, Atlanta Olympics. Again, I was selected to run a part of that team. Training, preparation. Now, at this time, again, I like to run, but I didn't have in my mind that I wanted to go to the Olympics. I just liked to run and race, and I started to be selected to teams. So making it to the Olympic Games was my head was blown. Our team did very well. We advanced to the finals of our event, the 4x400 meters. And I remember riding on that bus to the stadium getting ready to run that finals. And I'm sitting on the bus and I see faces like the people that you see on TV, Carl Lewis and Michael Johnson. I'm like, what the heck am I doing on this bus? But the coach kept saying, listen, you've done your preparations, you're ready to go. Again, we got into the race. We ran. We finished 7th, but that's 7th in the world. Again, my time was the fastest of my teammates. So I'm saying all this to say that you may not start out at the top, but if you continue to practice, rehearse, study, you're going to make it to the top. That was 1996. 1997, 1998. Well, after I made it to the Olympics, I said, okay, that's it. I made it to the Olympics. That's the pinnacle. I could retire and do something else. So I didn't run anymore after that. But that urge was still there. I still needed to run. So after a couple of years, I came back and I started training again. There were some doubters that said, "Oh boy, Tim, you've been out of this game a little bit too long now. You can't run with these guys." And we had new blood that came on board. We had Avard Moncoeur. Anyone heard of Avard Moncoeur? Avard Moncoeur became the world champion in the 400 meters. But at that time, he was just coming into the sport. And Chris Brown, fireman, he also was coming in as well. And so I was up against those persons. But I was determined that, they weren't going to tell me that I couldn't compete anymore. I knew if I trained hard, prepared, I can be competitive. And at that time, there were a lot of 400-meter runners. So I could probably call off 12 persons that could have made the relay team. So you really had to be well prepared. So in 2000, we went off to the Olympics. I should also say in 1996, when we made it to the finals, but didn't make it, Pauline and her team won the silver medal in the 1996 Olympics, yes. Went to 2000 Olympics. I don't know if you may remember this, but again, my relay team, we made it to the finals. We were one of the favorites to win the gold medal. And we came so close. But we ended up coming third overall. And that was a lot of pressure because right before we ran, that's when the Golden Girls ran their race. And so we were out on the warm-up track getting ready, and we could hear the screaming, "Ah!" Say, "Oh no, those girls doing it again," But so they won their gold medal, and so we came on next. And we came so close. We were in second position right up until about 50 meters to the finish line when our runner ran out of steam and Michael Johnson went past him. So we came third in that race. And then in 2001, the following year, again, the same team worked hard, consistently. Went to the World Championships in Edmonton, Canada. And this time, I was selected to run the anchor leg. That's a lot of pressure, because at that time, the Bahamas, we sent a whole Junkanoo troop over to support the team. And, that's a lot of pressure because you don't want to be the one to drop the baton, especially when everyone out there. And so we ran, and, before we ran, the person that was running the anchor leg with me was a tall German. He was about 6'7". He had just won the individual silver medal in the 400 meters. Avard Moncoeur had won the gold just along with him. But he was on the anchor leg. And I looked and I said, "Oh my goodness, this is going to be a tough one." So I looked over at one of my teammates and he said, "Listen, you've been training hard, right?" "Yeah." He said, "Well, you got to trust your training, trust your coach, you're ready. He bleeds just like you. And if he's going to beat you, he's going to have to run." And I said, "You know what? That's true." And so I went with that same determination. And in that race, the Bahamas men's relay team won its first gold medal in the World Championships. So we're very happy about that. For that accomplishment, or for those accomplishments, when you come into the airport, my image along with my teammates, we made it on the wall along with the Golden Girls. So we're very happy about that.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am super excited to be here at Youth Builders International Youth Symposium. I am Phyllis Woodside, counselor at C.I. Gibson, and our students are ready to be equipped for success.
My God, that is who you are. You are here. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you.
to stand before you here this morning. As I look out, I remember when I used to be like you, when I used to wear that blue and white. I am a magic girl. Woo! I am here to share my story with you. As a girl that was born and raised in the ghetto called Baintown, I am a Baintown gal, proud Baintown gal. I had the distinguished pleasure of being raised by that entire village. I am who I am because of that village. That village loved me, protected me, guided me. To the point that when I went to the world, that love of that village sustained me, because I came upon many, many obstacles as being a trailblazer for the sports of track and field. It wasn't easy. Being a black woman, it wasn't easy. But that village love kept me and sustained me. And to be very honest, I would like to just get back to that village. We need that village. And sometime, if I did something wrong, Miss Mary, she would whoop me. And I better not dare go home and tell it to my mommy and my daddy and get another whooping. And even though I run fast, anytime for me to get that whooping, my mommy said, go get the tambourine switch. Child, I slow walk. Oh, I slow walk to that tambourine tree to get that switch. And I will stand there, look at that tree, and I try to decipher which one of these switch I going to pick. Because I can't come with no small switch, and I definitely ain't taking no big switch. So I got to figure out which one my mommy going to be okay with when I take the switch to her. And that was the only time I didn't really run. Every other time, I ran up the street to go get groceries or whatever it is that my family wanted me to get. And you know, growing up in Baintown, I wasn't supposed to amount to nothing. Would you believe that one day I heard, I was only 14 years old, and I heard this quote said that all I was going to amount to was to become a mattress for men. I was going to have 6 or 7 different kids for 6 or 7 different men. The devil was a liar. Because I'm telling you, young people, who God has blessed, no man can curse. Every single one of you came to this earth with a minimum of 5 gifts. It's for you to figure out what those gifts are. And it's for you to use those gifts to make life a little bit better and a little easier for you. Now, these gifted legs took me to 177 countries, and I never paid a dime. As they would say, look at me now. I'm saying this to you because you're going to hear people say negative things about you. But guess what? They ain't God. You are uniquely made by God in His own image. And it ain't how you start in life, it's how you finish. I want you to repeat that after me. It is not how you start in life, It's how you finish. Amen to that. So when I started out as a young athlete, dreaming, how dare do I dream in the ghetto? In the ghetto, I'm dreaming to become this Olympic athlete. And not only that, but I'm going to win an Olympic medal. Because I came out of the ghetto, I ain't supposed to dream. And because I come out of the ghetto, God ain't supposed to bless me with no gifts. Devil is a liar. Say that. Amen to that. And so, I would start sharing my dreams. I would say, I'm gonna go to the Olympics, and I'm going to win this Olympic medal. Some of the coaches would look at me and say, "Go sit your little self down talking foolishness. You ain't gonna win no Olympic medal." But I felt it in my soul. I always knew I was going to win an Olympic medal. You just feel certain things. And I'm saying to myself, so God has blessed all these other countries with gifted athletes, but he didn't bless the Bahamas? I refuse to believe that. So you know what I did, young people? I stopped sharing my dreams with certain people. Because they're dream killers.
There was a holy hush all over as I walked into the room. As I stood to see him face to face, I was closely made you. There was a great and awesome presence and a light bright as any day. And as I bowed to kneel with the angels, I heard the Spirit say, "All rise, to stand before the throne in the presence of the Holy One. All as we worship
We are so happy to be here representing Stingray Country, C.P. Bethel Senior High School, where excellence has a look, a sound, and a feel. Principal Harcourt McCoy. Thank you, youth builders.
In every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit who brings a fire, ignites a candle, and makes it burn. Sing with me. Bury your candle, run from the darkness, seek out the hopeless, confused and torn. Hold out your candle, oh, to see it. Take your candle, where's your candle? To light your world. Take your candle, to light your world.
I was totally devastated. Devastated for 33 years. The man I thought was my father, and I did a DNA only to find out he was not my father. I didn't even get to meet this man until I was 21. So for 21 years, I didn't even have a father. And so I'm talking about when a boy doesn't know his father. He goes through,
a boy or a girl. I'm just saying a boy because I'm a male. He goes through emotional distress. Emotional distress is a negative reaction in which a person experiences fear, anxiety, anger, and suffering. I went through it all. I wrote a book called The Tears I Cried. I just want to read a quick piece of that book. 1985, Georgetown Exuma, an emotional roller coaster. Utah, get your black hip up and dump the garbage. Man, mommy, I doing my homework. Whap! Perry's school belt caught me, ripping into my shoulder. Man, mommy, what you hit me for? Little boy, mine, don't make me choke you in here today. She grabbed me by the shoulder and shook me. Get your black hip up and go dump the garbage before I kill you with the beating. Man, mommy, it's Perry time. Whap! Whap! Oh, Lord. We go through this all the time. And thank God my mom has changed. But I found myself a few years ago becoming that very same person, speaking down to my children, and I had to cancel that. In the name of Jesus Christ. It was coming back in the day to say these type of things. And as I went on, I just want to share a little bit more about what I went through as a kid. And bam! I'm reading from my book. Bam! I jumped in my sleep, awakening to the shattering of glass. I rubbed my eyes and began to get up, but felt a hand holding onto my shirt. Andy was latched to me, terrified by whatever was happening outside. I rubbed my eyes some more and found the blinking clock on the bar dresser. 1:30 in the morning. Wow, it was late or early. What could be going on? Was someone trying to break into our home? I was shocked by what I heard. That's why Utah ain't got no friggin' daddy right now. You're too stupid. I felt a sharp pain rip into my left chest. Why was Papa saying such hurtful things to Mommy? And why was he banging on the door? And what was that breaking sound? Then I heard my Mommy's voice blare through the night. And it wasn't nice at all. The words she shouted back at Papa. I wiped a single tear from my eye and began to pray, dear God, please make it stop. The next day, Mommy, I went and I spoke to my mommy. I said, Mommy, how come I ain't got no daddy? She looked away with an instant scowl on her face and said, because your daddy is a no-good dog. But God could deal with him. I pondered what she said for a second. Then I asked her again, Mommy, what's his name? But I go, sit your black hip down. I didn't raise you for 10 years with no power. You ain't need none. But Mommy, I only want to know what his name is. She slammed the red pen on the table and said, Switch. The old dog named Switch. Well, Mommy, if I have a daddy, why you don't check for me? Utah, your daddy is a no-good dog. I heard that so many times. He's a no-good dog. I heard so many times you could be just like your no-good pa. I heard that many times. But don't worry. She said, but don't worry. My God don't sleep nor slumber. Mommy, you think you know where we live? I could sense the conversation was over because she had started to mark her papers again. Mommy, please answer me. Everybody else got a daddy. Why I can't have one too? My mom turned her back to me and kept on marking. I ran out of the room that day and cried like a baby. That day was the beginning of the tears that I would cry for almost the rest of my life. I know some of you may not be brave enough to want to share some emotional experiences that you would have maybe experienced or still experiencing now. But this is real. This is real, and sometimes I realize hurt people. I realized my mom at that point in time did not know how to communicate with me based on that situation. When a boy doesn't know his father, he experiences psychological distress. After the tears came the envy. After the envy came the anger, then the rage. Surprisingly, I never felt any of this towards my dad because I knew once I met him, he would love me. I didn't even know him yet, but I did know I loved him uncontrollably. I generated my hurt towards mischievousness. I became a compulsive liar. I rebelled against any and everything I could get away with. I fought, I stole, I cheated at any chance I got. I can tell you that I even rebelled to this point. I got a hole here in this ass, one on top and one here. And my mother would have killed me with the beating if she found out. I passed my own ass to rebel. I took the orange gel, which is used for toothache, put it on my ass, took the needle, passed my ass. Now what's this now? I couldn't wear the earring in my mother's presence, and I couldn't wear it to school. And I couldn't wear it in church. The only time I got to wear the earring was on the school bus going to school and coming back. One day I forgot to take the earring out, and I came home, and my mother just knocked me down and ripped it out my ass. You know, she didn't use to play. She was a teacher too, by the way. So you all know she was a gangster teacher. I was taking my hurt out on the world. I hated my mom because I knew she knew how to reach my dad, but she wouldn't tell me. My grades began to drop. My appetite dwindled. I was already a toothpick. I a little fat today, but I was a toothpick. That some of my classmates began calling me E.T. That's when that movie had come out called E.T. They called me E.T. That was my nickname. I remember one day one of my best friends said to me, "Boy, you was one ugly nigga. You must look like your pa because you sure don't look like Miss Taylor." That was the last time we was friends. I beat him so bad, they had to pull my 10.5 out of him. And then my mom softened up. 2 days later, mommy was in the kitchen sorting through some old boxes, and I was in our bedroom creating one of my many inventions. I heard her call my name, but I didn't answer. She called again, louder this time. I looked up. She was directly over me. I jumped up, bracing for a slap to the head, but she just shoved the picture at me. She said, "You asked for your pa? See the no-good dog here?" I was elated. I was ecstatic. I could flip backwards and turn 15 somersaults. I could touch the moon. I embraced the picture. I kissed it. And I loved my mom unconditionally for the first time for a very long time. I took that picture everywhere with me until the sweat from my pocket, the picture began to fade, and then the picture actually disintegrated off of the picture. That's how much I kept that picture with me, how much it meant to me. Then I began to search for my dad. You know, I went in the phone book because I now had a name and I had a picture. So I found back in those days, we all don't know nothing about phone book because nobody's used them today. But in the phone book, it would have the P.O. box and the phone number. This is back in the 80s in Georgetown, Exuma, the P.O. box and the number. And so I decided to write my dad a letter. You know, I said, "Dear Dad, I've been searching for you all of my life. Mom told me about the argument she and Grammy had and how she told you to get out of her life. I know Mom can be very convincing, but why didn't you come back to check on me? Daddy, I am now 12 and almost 13. My brothers and sisters all have a daddy. I get teased all the time. I've prayed to God every night to help me find you. Please write back and come and find me. Love you so much, your son, Utah." One eternity later, weeks, days, weeks, months, no response. No response. He didn't even respond. I said, well, maybe the letter got lost because Nassau was far away from Exuma. So let me send another one. I sent another letter. Nothing happened. I began to become suicidal. I went down to the dock in Georgetown. And I looked into the ocean and I contemplating just jumping over because I couldn't swim. So I know I would have died anyway because I couldn't swim. But I keep hearing my grandmother's voice. My grandmother always used to say, "If you take your life, you're going to hell." And I didn't want to go to hell. I didn't mind committing suicide, but I didn't want to go to hell. So I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just want to just briefly share with you what some statistics would they say about fatherless children. They say, Canadian scientists believe growing up without a father can permanently alter the brain. Fatherless children are more likely to grow up angry and to turn to negativity. I can tell you that because I did it. I grew up angry and I turned to negativity. I want to fast forward a little bit. Here are some infamous fatherless men. I don't know if y'all know that. Saddam Hussein ain't had no daddy. They say Adolf Hitler ain't had no daddy. And Dylan Roof, y'all know Dylan? was the one who murdered the 9 people in the church about 2 or 3 years ago. Not having and see, this may not work for everyone, but statistics shows the ones who are more vulnerable to being angry and to do negativity are those who come from a fatherless home or a father who is not active in the life of their child.
Hi, my name is Riel Galanos, and I'm at the Holy Trinity Center where we're having our annual youth symposium. Good music, good food, and a good word for the students.
Before the beginning of time, with no point of reverence, you spoke to the darkness, fleshed out the wonders of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of the God, this planet's form. If the stars were made to worship so high, I can see your heart in everything you made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises so loud.
I want you to think of a map. Let's put a picture of a map in your mind. How many of you have seen a map or globe before? Just raise your hand at me so I can see. Okay, so I want you to put that picture in your mind, and I want you to hold it there. You get it? We have a picture of a map or globe in our mind? Okay, very good. Now, who can tell me how many continents are there? 7. Very good. Give yourselves a round of applause. Very good. I told you the future of the Bahamas look bright. Who can tell me how many people are there in the world now? Somebody said 7 billion. Somebody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good job. Good job. There are 7.9 billion of us on the planet. And I wanted to say that to you because I want you to know that with everybody here, there is a place for you. How many of you believe that? Give yourself a clap if you believe that. There is a place for you here. And not just a place for you to live, to sleep, to eat, to play. There is a place for your abilities and your talents. How many of you believe that? Give yourself a clap. How many of you have put together a jigsaw puzzle before? A jigsaw puzzle. Raise your hand if you put together a jigsaw puzzle. Wave it at me. All right. So you're putting together this puzzle, right? And let's just say you can't find 2 pieces. Is the puzzle complete? No, because 2 pieces are missing. So you may be putting a 100-piece puzzle together. You have 98 pieces already together. You can see the picture. But because there are 2 pieces missing, the puzzle is not complete. So I want you to know that when God was designing the world, planning out the world, planning out the earth, planning out the planets and everything in it, he had you in mind. So you may say there are 7.98 billion of us on the planet. What is it that I could possibly bring different? Your uniqueness, your talents, and your abilities. I want you to know that there's something that this whole world needs that only you can give. Only you can give. And that's why you are here. That's why when he was creating this world, he had you on his mind from the beginning. You were not an afterthought. He did not create the world and say, okay, I think I want to create, what's your name? Deanna. Oh, okay. I think I want to create Deanna, but I don't know where she's going to fit. He had this master plan, and he knew the talents that she would have. So he's like, okay, I'm going to create this world, and she's going to be in it. Not just Deanna, everybody here, everybody in the room. So I want everybody right now to scream out your name loud and clear. 1, 2, 3. Right. So you just put your name out there in the atmosphere. You just mark your territory because there is a place for you. Give yourselves a round of applause. So, why is it that I am so convinced that there is a place for you and you belong here? Because Ephesians 2:10 tells us something, and I want to read it to you. It's a Bible verse. So, Ephesians 2:10 tells us, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. We are his workmanship. He created us for a reason. So that is it why I am so convinced that you belong here. And let me give you another reason why I am so convinced. In Genesis 1:27 tells us that we were created in the image and likeness of God. That means that when God created us, he put a little bit of himself into us. Do you know what that means? That means you are creative, yes. That means you are talented, yes. That means you are a starter and a finisher. That means that you have the capacity for love, compassion, and goodness. All of that is inside of you. And so sometimes, though, knowing all of that, we don't walk around with our head up and our shoulders back. Sometimes we walk around feeling a little defeated, feeling a little low, and that's a matter of our self-esteem, right? So self-esteem is just two big words that just means it is the way that we think about ourselves. It is the way that we believe. What is it that we believe that we can do? What is it that we believe is possible? And our self-esteem can be affected by a number of things. And I want to share those things with you. Our self-esteem can be affected by what our families say to us. And not just what our families say, what our family do. It affects what we believe and how we think. Let me give you a little short story. In my family, I noticed a little trend. So my mom did not graduate. And my brother did not graduate. And I was just after my brother. So what do you think was happening there? Right, it was almost like it was my turn to follow that trend. And I'm a little older now, but I was once 15 before, right? But I remember being a 15-year-old girl saying, no, this is not going to be my story. I am going to graduate. And I worked hard because, see, in my family, I didn't know what to believe because I didn't see possibilities. Nobody in my family was graduating. Nobody in my family was going to college. But I decided that, okay, you know something? I'm going to hold on to the possibility that I can graduate and go to college and that I can be successful. And I held on to that possibility. And guess what happened, ladies and kids? Guess what happened? I graduated high school. And then it didn't stop there. Nobody in my family went to college. Then I went to 1 college. Then I went to 2 college. Then I went to 3 college. Now we're in 4 college. Graduated with my PhD in 8 months. And guess what? I'm telling you this because there's some of us that is going to have to be the game changer. You're going to have to say, you're going to have to look at your family line, and you're going to have to say, not me. You're going to have to say, I'm going to be the game changer. And now not only me, but my 4 sisters graduated college, and my cousins graduated college. Because see, what I did was created a possibility. And see, I want to encourage you to do that. So you may be young, but you can be a game changer. You don't have to believe what you are seeing in your family. And then I had some family members who said, you want to be a clinical psychologist? We never heard that before. You want, like nobody on this island. So I'm from Eleuthera. There are 10,000 of us up there. And it's like, nobody never talked about being a clinical psychologist before. Where are you going to work? What it is that you're going to do? You won't be able to find a job. See, they was trying to rewire my hope. It was trying to steal my hope. It was trying to take away my confidence. But as a young person, I couldn't allow them to do that. So they said, okay, nobody have never done it, but looks like I'm going to have to be the first again. So I want to show you something. When you start to break stuff, you have a reference point. So you see now I went to high school and I graduate, right? I had a reference point. So I said, okay, if I can graduate high school, I can go to college. And so I was able to prove them wrong. And so that's what I want you to do. Don't accept what your family members and your friends may be saying to you. Your job is to prove them wrong, not in a loud way. I didn't curse them out or backtalk them, but quietly I move along and I push, right? I move and I push. I move and I push. And I got things done, and now they're looking at me and they say, oh, well, you find a job and you're working, eh? Yes, ma'am. You're doing good, eh? Yes, ma'am, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So you have to prove them wrong.
In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God in helpless babe, this gift of love and righteousness